And Tamar Braxton, she is talking about how crazy it is outside. Dan, you're getting married. You should be happy that you don't have to be outside.
Don't got to worry about any of this.
You don't have to worry about any of these things. She said she's taking HIV prevention medication. She's taking PrEP. Here's what she said.
All of y'all is dating the same dude. I ain't sharing my man with the streets. Although I'm on PrEP. And I would tell everybody to get on PrEP because prepare yourself.
All right, well, do what you got to do, girl. I'm not mad at it. Protect yourself at all costs.
You don't think that's a little extreme?
I mean, look, I will say that if you know that you are potentially could be exposed to something, I can't tell you what to do and what not to do. I see people in the comments saying same.
You just wrap it up.
You can, but that is not foolproof. Listen, I've heard people say you'd rather be preventative than not worry about it at all. Sometimes we get vaccinated from things, we could say the same thing. So this is just something that's preventative. I'm not mad at it. For whatever reason she wants to do that.
The internet didn't just react last night. It erupted. One clip. One headline. One moment that sent celebrity culture into full panic mode. Tamar Braxton's name shot to the top of every platform at the exact same time. Twitter froze. TikTok spiraled. Group chats went dead silent, then exploded. People weren't asking what happened. They were asking how bad is it? A shaky video began circulating. Tamar speaking fast. Eyes glossy. Voice cracking. Saying the streets are crazy. Saying she had to protect herself. Saying something was wrong. Then 4 words hit the timeline like a gunshot. I can't pee. No context. No explanation. Just panic. Blogs ran wild. Clips were slowed down, zoomed in, stitched, dissected. Everyone suddenly became a doctor. Everyone suddenly had sources. A screenshot of alleged messages surfaced. A voice note leaked from someone claiming to be close to her. Whispers spread about hospital visits, private breakdowns, emergency calls. Some swore it was a confession. Others said it was being twisted on purpose. A few insiders claimed Tamar had been warning people for months that something was coming. And then the most dangerous word entered the chat. HIV. No confirmation. No official statement. Just rumors moving faster than facts ever could. Fans cried. Haters celebrated. Commentators crossed lines they could never uncross. And while the world argued about what they thought Tamar meant, Tamar went completely silent. No denial. No clarification. No damage control. Just silence. And in this industry, silence doesn't calm storms. It creates them. The morning after the clip went viral, nothing felt normal anymore. Every blog woke up hungry. Every podcaster cleared their schedule. Every fan account turned into a crime board. Because overnight, Tamar Braxton stopped being a celebrity and became a question mark. Nobody could agree on what she actually said. But everyone agreed on one thing. Something had slipped out that was never supposed to. The original video vanished almost as fast as it appeared. But not before screen recordings spread like wildfire. Tamar on a couch. Hair pulled back. No glam. No performance voice. Just exhaustion. She talked about dadding. About fear. About the streets being unsafe. About protecting herself at all costs. Then she laughed. Not a happy laugh. A nervous one. The kind people do when they're trying not to cry. That's when she mentioned medication. Preventative. Protection. Preparation. And that's when the internet twisted the knife. Clips were cropped. Context was removed. A single sentence was pulled out and reposted with a caption that changed everything. Tamar finally admits it. Admits what? Nobody knew. But speculation doesn't need facts. It only needs momentum. Within hours, an alleged DM surfaced. A blurry screenshot. A black background. White text. A sender claiming to be close to the family, saying Tamar had been dealing with health scares for years, saying she was tired of lying, saying the truth slipped. No name, no verification, just enough to send fans into meltdown. Then came the second wave. A leaked voice note. A woman crying, saying she was scared, saying doctors found something, saying, I don't know how to say this out loud. Blogs rushed to label it Tamar. Others said it was fake, but nobody could prove either side. And the silence from Tamar's camp only made it worse. Her team didn't issue a statement. Her sisters didn't post cryptic support. Her exes didn't rush to defend her. Nothing. Just quiet. And quiet in celebrity culture is never neutral. It's interpreted as guilt, or fear, or both. Then someone dug up an older clip. Months old. Tamar joking on live. Talking about how everyone is dating the same dude. Talking about NDAs. Talking about not sharing men with the streets. Talking about being on medication, just in case. At the time, it felt funny. Now, people were calling it a warning. Comment sections turned dark. Fans started connecting dots that might not even exist. They slowed down her words, zoomed into her eyes, counted pauses, analyzed breaths. TikTok experts appeared overnight, claiming symptoms, claiming timelines, claiming insider knowledge. Doctors stitched reactions. Some said the internet was being reckless. Others fueled the fire by speculating anyway. And then the phrase hit again. I can't pee. 4 words. Repeated everywhere. Memed. Mocked. Feared. Interpreted as a medical emergency. Interpreted as a breakdown. Interpreted as proof. No one stopped to ask if it even meant what they thought it meant. Because panic doesn't ask questions. It assumes answers. Meanwhile, Tamar posted nothing. Not a story. Not a tweet. Not a denial. Her last Instagram post stayed up like a frozen timestamp from a different life. Fans flooded the comments begging her to speak. Critics flooded them demanding truth. Some accused her of lying. Others accused the blogs of killing her with rumors. Then a bomb dropped. A well-known gossip page claimed Tamar had visited a hospital weeks earlier. No photos. No dates. Just sources. They claimed paperwork existed. They claimed conversations happened behind closed doors. They claimed Tamar was preparing the public slowly. That post did numbers. Millions of views. Thousands of comments. And 0 proof. Still, the damage was done. Because once a narrative sticks, facts have to chase it. And facts are always slower. Then someone else entered the chat. A former associate. Not famous, but loud. Posting cryptic messages like, I tried to warn y'all. And the truth always comes out. They never said Tamar's name. They didn't have to. Everyone knew who they were pointing at. Now fans were split. Half believed Tamar was being unfairly attacked. Half believed she had been hiding something. And both sides were emotional. Angry. Protective. Brutal. What made it worse? Tamar's past. Her openness. Her history of oversharing. Her reputation for emotional transparency. People used it against her, saying if it wasn't true, she'd say something. Others said maybe she's tired of explaining her pain. And then the unthinkable happened. A short, grainy clip surfaced. Tamar backstage. Phone in hand. Face tense. Someone off camera asks, "You good?" She replies quietly, "I'm trying to be." That was it. 8 seconds. But it sent shockwaves. Because suddenly, this wasn't just gossip. It felt real. Too real. And still, no statement, no confirmation, no denial. Just the world screaming while Tamar stayed silent. And right when people thought the chaos had peaked, a new leak appeared, claiming Tamar wasn't the only one involved, claiming other names were coming, claiming this story was much bigger than her. And that's when everyone realized this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. By the second day, the story mutated into something unrecognizable. It wasn't about one clip anymore. It was about control. Blogs stopped asking what happened and started asking who knew. Screenshots multiplied. Group chats leaked. Private conversations were suddenly public property. Someone claiming to be a former assistant posted a thread, not naming Tamar directly, but close enough to leave no doubt. They said secrets were managed. They said crises were contained. They said the public version of Tamar was always carefully protected. Then they ended with one line that sent chills everywhere. Some truths are only safe until they are. Within minutes, the post vanished. But nothing ever really disappears. Fans archived it, zoomed in, circled phrases, tried to decode every word like it was a ransom note. That's when celebrity reactions started rolling in. Not direct, never direct, always vague. A singer posted, "Y'all need to stop playing with people's health." A reality star tweeted, "The internet is wicked." A producer liked a comment that said, "This industry eats its own." Likes became statements. Silence became strategy. And every move was analyzed. Tamar's sisters were watched closely. Every post, every story, every emoji. One sister posted a throwback photo with a heart. Fans called it support. Others called it damage control. Then came the alleged text thread. Green bubbles, white background, timestamps conveniently cropped. Messages saying, "She didn't mean it like that." Another reply saying, "But once it's out, it's out." A final line saying, "They're going to twist it." Nobody could verify it. But nobody could ignore it either. TikTok went feral. Lives titled, "Let Be Honest About Tamar." Creators speaking like prosecutors. Pausing clips. Slowing audio. Claiming her tone meant everything. Doctors stitched reactions, half warning against speculation, half feeding it. Comment sections turned cruel. Some sympathetic. Some vicious. Some dangerously ignorant. And through it all, one phrase kept resurfacing. Preventative. People argued over its meaning. Some screamed that people were intentionally misunderstanding it. Others insisted it was a slip. A Freudian confession. A breadcrumb. The narrative split in two. One side believed Tamar was being sacrificed by gossip culture. The other believed she was hiding behind technicalities. Both sides were loud. Neither side had proof. Then a well-known radio host poured gasoline on the fire. They said on air, "I heard things months ago." No details. No confirmation. Just that. The clip went viral instantly. Because "I heard things" is enough to ruin reputations. Another insider claimed Tamar had been warned not to speak so freely online. That she was told people would twist her words. That she ignored the advice. That now the machine was chewing her up. Then came the backlash. People started calling out the blogs. Calling the speculation dangerous. Calling the headlines irresponsible. Calling the internet a mob. But outrage doesn't reverse damage. It just adds another layer. Meanwhile, Tamar unfollowed several accounts. Fans noticed instantly. Screenshots flew. Theories formed. She's isolating. She's protecting herself. She's spiraling. Nobody actually knew. Then a clip from an older interview resurfaced. Tamar talking about fear. about anxiety, about her body reacting to stress. People replayed it like prophecy, saying, "She told us." Others said, "Y'all are sick." At this point, even neutral observers were dragged in. You couldn't scroll without seeing her face, her name. Her pain turned into content. Then came the most disturbing twist yet. A fake medical form began circulating. Blurry, poorly edited, clearly suspicious, but believable enough to fool thousands. Some believed it instantly. Others debunked it within minutes. But the damage, irreversible. Because once people think they've seen proof, logic shuts off. Tamar's comments were disabled shortly after. That move alone spoke volumes to the internet. They called it confirmation. They called it guilt. They called it self-preservation. And still, no statement. No live. No clarification. Just the world screaming louder by the hour. And then, late that night, a notification hit phones everywhere. A respected journalist posted one sentence. "I'm being told this story is being wildly misrepresented." No explanation. No follow-up. Just that. It calmed some people. Infuriated others. Because now there was a third narrative. That this wasn't just gossip. It was manipulation. And the question shifted again. If the story was being twisted, who was doing the twisting? And why? Because someone was clearly benefiting from the chaos. And Tamar, she was still nowhere to be found. Until a new clip surfaced. Unreleased. Unposted. Tamar on a call. Voice low. Saying, "This got out of control." And just before the audio cuts, she says something that changes everything. Something that suggests this wasn't an accident at all. And that silence was never meant to last. Everything shifted the moment Tamar finally broke the silence. Not with a press release. Not with a lawyer. Not with a perfectly lit apology video. But with a raw, unfiltered moment that no one saw coming. A shaky live stream. Late at night. Comments flying so fast they blurred into static. Her face appeared on screen, tired but steady, like someone who had already cried every tear she had. And before anyone could even ask a question, she said it. This has gone too far. The internet froze. Because for days, people had been speaking for her. Diagnosing her. Condemning her. Turning fragments into verdicts. And now, the person at the center of the storm was finally speaking for herself. She didn't yell. That scared people more. She didn't cry. That confused them. She just stared straight into the camera and said she was watching lies travel faster than truth. She said her words were taken, twisted, and turned into something dangerous. She said people were playing with her life for clicks. Then she addressed the rumor everyone was afraid to say out loud. Slowly, carefully, she said she never claimed to be HV+. She said that narrative was manufactured. She said it was reckless. And she said it hurt more than people could imagine. The comments exploded. Some apologized. Some doubled down. Some accused her of backtracking. And that's when Tamar dropped the detail that changed everything. She explained the medication. She explained prevention. She explained fear. She explained why she said the streets were scary. She said she chose protection, not because she was sick, but because she refused to gamble with her health. She said preparation doesn't equal confession. But the internet doesn't slow down for explanations. Because while Tamar was clarifying, screenshots were still circulating. Voice notes were still being dissected. People were still insisting she slipped up. Then Tamar did something unexpected. She pulled receipts. She referenced the original clip in full context. She replayed it, paused it, explained it line by line. And suddenly, the narrative cracked. People realized how aggressively the story had been edited, how one sentence had been isolated, how fear had been weaponized, how stigma did the rest of the work. Still, not everyone was ready to admit they were wrong. A prominent blogger fired back, claiming Tamar was cleaning it up. Another podcaster implied she was hiding behind medical terminology. That's when Tamar's tone changed. Her voice shook. She talked about what it feels like to be labeled with something you don't have. She talked about how dangerous that is. She talked about family members calling in panic. She talked about her phone blowing up with people asking if she was dying. And then she said something that shut the room down. She said stigma kills faster than any rumor. She said misinformation puts real people at risk. She said this wasn't just about her anymore. That statement hit harder than any clapback. Because suddenly, this wasn't celebrity gossip. It was a warning. Doctors and health advocates began stepping in, explaining prevention, explaining medication, explaining how common it actually is, explaining how irresponsible speculation can be. But the damage was already done. Tamar's name had been dragged through something irreversible. And then came the emotional collapse. Not on camera, but leaked. A private phone call surfaced. Tamar crying, asking why people hate her so much, asking why honesty always costs her peace. That audio spread like wildfire. Fans rallied. Celebrities spoke up. Some apologized publicly. Others quietly deleted old posts. And for the first time since the storm began, the tide shifted. Support poured in. People admitted they jumped to conclusions. People admitted they shared without checking. People admitted the internet had crossed a line. Tamar returned one last time. Short. Firm. She said she would no longer explain herself. She said her health was not entertainment. She said misinformation has consequences. And she said she hoped people learned something from this chaos. Then she ended the live. Just like that. No dramatic music. No tears. No final monologue. The screen went black. And the internet was left staring at its own reflection. Because what started as breaking news turned into a lesson about how fast lies move when fear leads the way. And how quickly a woman's words can be turned into weapons. The hashtags faded. The blogs moved on. But the stain of it all lingered. Because even after the truth speaks, the rumor always echoes longer. And Tamar Braxton, she walked away from the noise. But the industry will never forget how close it came to destroying her over something she never said. Before you scroll away, stop for a second. Because stories like this don't just disappear. They repeat. They resurface. They target someone new. And the only thing that stops them is awareness. If you watched this unfold, if you questioned it, if you felt uncomfortable, that's not an accident. That's the moment you're supposed to pay attention. So don't just watch. Engage. Like this video, so the truth travels as far as the lie did. Comment your thoughts, because silence is what lets misinformation win. Subscribe, because the next story won't warn you before it explodes. And trust, you don't want to miss the moment when the internet crosses the line again. Because it always does. And when it does, we'll be right here. Listen closely, because this is the moment that decides everything. If you've made it this far, you're already inside the storm most people only skim the surface of. This isn't just celebrity gossip anymore. This is about how fast lies move, how silence gets weaponized, and how easily the internet turns rumors into verdicts. Right now, there are people watching this who think they already know the truth, and others who are realizing they never questioned the narrative at all. Which one are you? This story is still unfolding. Clips are still being edited. Insiders are still leaking half-truths. And the loudest voices online are still racing to be first, not right. That's why this channel exists. Not to spoon-feed you headlines, but to break down what's really happening beneath the chaos. To separate what was said from what was assumed. To expose how quickly misinformation mutates when emotions take over. If you leave now, you'll miss what comes next. And trust, the next turn is always the most revealing. So hit like if you believe context matters. Drop a comment if you caught something others missed. And subscribe right now, because stories like this don't end quietly. They unravel loudly, and only the people paying attention see the full picture. The algorithm decides who stays informed and who stays confused. Make your choice. Because the silence you're hearing right now, that's not the end. It's the inhale before the next explosion.